Hello everyone, today we're continuing our Mach4 basics series and showing you the safe and proper way to run a G-code file. This procedure is appropriate for machines from the most basic hobby router all the way up to industrial level giants, and will allow you to safely test and run your G-code files with Mach4. First, let's go over some safety features you should already have configured, your e-stop button and your limits. Make sure your e-stop button is functioning and within reach of where you'll be operating your machine from. You'll also want to utilize limit switches if possible, and soft limits. If you're not sure how to set up soft limits, check out our video on homing and soft limits here. For this example, I'm going to use the Font Engrave wizard to create a G-code file right in Mach4. This wizard can be used to engrave text and numbers and also has features that allow sequential serial numbers. If you haven't given it a try yet, I definitely recommend doing so. I'm going to start by entering my quote in the text box here, and then I'm going to enter the text height below. Notice how the width is calculated automatically. Next, I'm going to choose my alignment and origin. I want my words to be centered, so my X0, Y0 point will be in the center of my stock. Next is on to cut parameters, where I can input the Z position, Z depth, rapid height, plunge feed, cut feed, and RPM. I can also select a font to use here, then save. You can save your file anywhere on your computer, but you always want to run G-code files from your computer and not from a USB drive or your network. To load a file from your computer, all you have to do is click Load G-code file and find the file you want to run. It will appear in the G-code box on the left and the toolpath will generate on the right. Once the file is loaded, we're going to begin by jogging around the outside of the toolpath. In doing this, you're syncing up what you see in the toolpath window and what is in front of you on your table. I'm going to focus on the perimeter of my quote and make sure it's positioned where I want it to be on my stock. Now it looks great on the right side, so let's jog over and check the left. Along with checking out the fit and sizing of your cut, you can also jog over your clamps and any other fixtures you might have to make sure they're not in the way. This is where you'll really familiarize yourself with the project, both in the virtual environment on your screen and in the physical one in front of you. This is also the stage where you can make changes if things just don't look right. You can move your 0 point, adjust your stock, move your clamps, or just any problems you reveal by editing your G-code file or bringing it back to the design software and taking it from there. Once you've jogged around your toolpath and feel confident with your setup, the next step is entering a work shift and doing a dry run. So I'm going to use an MDI command to get back to my starting point. To get to work shift, go to View, Fixture Offsets, and then enter in a safe shift for your Z-axis. In this case, a work shift is going to move my Z-axis up 1 inch so I can move through my G-code without actually cutting anything. What I am going to do is use my feed rate and rapid rate sliders to take complete control of this cut, even if we're only cutting air. To start, I moved both sliders all the way to 0. When I'm ready, I'll hit Enable and cycle start. The G-code will run through the first few lines until it gets to a rapid move. Then it'll sit and wait for me to move the slider up. When it has finished the rapid move, it'll wait for me to move the feed rate slider. I'm going to move my rapid slider all the way down to 0 before starting my feed move. Likewise, I'll move the feed rate slider to 0 before allowing a rapid move. This method allows you to manually run through your entire G-code file at a pace you feel comfortable with. It also gives you a chance to watch out for potential issues. While it's always important to be vigilant, there are 3 moments you want to pay special attention to. You are most likely to crash at the beginning of a cut, during a tool change, and at the end of a cut, so watch carefully during these parts of your project. I used my sliders to control my rapid and feed moves throughout the entire cut. In total, it took me about 12 minutes to run through this G-code file. Now I've increased the speed on that footage so we don't all have to sit around and watch me cut air all day, but you get the idea. Once I'm finished with my dry run, I need to remove the work shift. Then I can actually start cutting. Consider this the grand finale. Just like before, I'm going to bring my sliders down to 0 and slowly raise them one at a time to a speed I'm comfortable with. And I'm still bringing each slider down to 0 between moves, so I know exactly when my machine will move and how fast it's going to move. This cut took me a bit longer than my air cut, so I've increased the speed in this video as well. You'll notice I used the sliders the entire time, once again, even after jogging around the toolpath and doing a dry run. The whole process took me less than half an hour from start to finish, and I was left with a pretty nice finished product. Now, it may seem time-consuming or tedious, but the peace of mind you'll have following this procedure is well worth it. And best of all, once you got the hang of it and feel confident with your G-code file, you can leave it to run at reduced speed or even full speed. You can CNC to your heart's content, knowing that your toolpaths line up with your stock and your G-code does what it's supposed to. While I finish up my project, let's review. Make sure all safety measures are in place before you begin cutting. Always load your G-code file from your computer directly. Once your G-code is loaded, jog around to help sync up the toolpath on your screen with the material on your table. Use a work shift to do a dry run of your cut. Move the feed rate and rapid rate sliders up one at a time to control every move. Watch for the 3 times you're most likely to crash: at the beginning of the cut, during any tool changes, and at the end of the cut. Stay safe, take your time, and as always, happy CNCing!